Good morning, Edinburgh. Good morning, delegates. Thank you so much for coming, and a very warm welcome to our session this morning. Now, a year or so ago, when I was in a meeting with the organising committee, and they said, now, what can we do for the opening plenary? We had really top chef at the last one. Was that San Sebastian, John? It was. And I said, I know, I run a Seafood in Schools project. Let's get kids involved. Let's get them on the stage. Let's get them learning all about Scottish aquaculture and cooking. And that's how it transpired. The last couple of days I've been wondering why I had this bright idea, but this morning I think it's come together. I'm Nikki Homeyard. As I say, I run the Seafood in Schools project, and I'm also a mussel farmer, so I have a really good insight into aquaculture. And my fellow judge here, well known to many of you, John, do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Great, thanks, Nikki. My name's John Joyce. I'm a marine biologist by training and former president of the EAS. I retired about 5 years ago to write novels and children's books and screenplays and things. And I'm particularly proud and pleased to be here in Edinburgh, which I understand is the birthplace of the original James Bond, Sean Connery, who we understand has got a particular speciality for smoked salmon, particularly if it's Scottish and especially if it's served in a shallot. So it's great to be here today.
I forgot to say that John is also here to do the more humorous side of things as well, and I'm
Absolutely.
here to make sure it goes right. So without further ado, because we are really pushed for time this morning, I'd like to introduce our three judges onto the stage. So, oh, they're already here. I didn't see you sneak in behind me, right? Okay, so the first one is Björn Merseth, and he is about to be president of the European Aquaculture Society. That's from this afternoon, is that right, Björn?
Yes.
It is. And Kate Devine, who is a very well-known Scottish food journalist, and I think you've done a lot of these things, Kate, haven't you? And then Fraser Dryborough from the Scottish Government. Now, you did tell me it's the
Food, Drink and Industry Growth Team.
Food, Drink and Industry Growth Team. So their job is to watch the cookery competition and then to taste the dishes, and we'll be chatting to them as the cooking is going on and see how they're getting on with their task as well. So without further ado, I think we should invite on stage our two cookery teams. And once they've finished cooking and presented to the judges, then two more teams are coming out to present some PowerPoint presentations and videos that they've made of Scottish aquaculture, looking at their learning journey, and I hope you'll enjoy those too. And then at the end, we have two wonderful cups here. These are for the champions, and a slightly smaller cup for the reserve champions. And so best of luck to everybody. And first team, would you like to come out from Balfron High School? And we have Katie McLaren and Aisha Mahinda. Right, girls. Well, good luck with that. We will give you a countdown in a moment. And while you're cooking, John will come along and have a chat to you to see what you're cooking and what you're doing. And by the way, the recipes that the girls and our boy team are cooking have all been put into your delegate packs. So I'd like to now introduce on stage the two boys from Glen Urquhart High School in the Highlands, and that's Jay Brady and Flett Marsham. Give them a warm welcome. Right, boys, well, same to you. It's very nearly 10 past, and you have just under 15 minutes to present us with something amazing. So, John, would you like to do the countdown?
Houston, we are in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Digestion.
Good luck, boys. Good luck, girls. And lastly, but not least, and oh dear, that's very naughty of me, here is our chef, Alan Frost. Now, he's been working with the two teams over the last few months to help them. Now, it's all their own work, Alan, isn't it?
Yes. They've all been practicing in the schools. I've just been here to mentor them and put them on the right direction, but it's been the teachers that have been doing all the hard work with them.
Oh, right, okay. I think the teachers are in the audience, so probably a bit nerve-wracking for them as well. And so, what's your history with seafood, Alan?
Oh, well, I've been a chef for 20 years and then into further education teaching hospitality studies, so 40 years experience within the industry. I have a link with the seafood. My son-in-law's a prawn fisherman in the Isle of Lewis, so we're kept plentiful of langoustines and prawns and things. So.
Oh, fantastic. And what's your experience of aquaculture?
Well, I do the seafood in schools, so going around with a team, introducing different seafood dishes to the children, trying to encourage them to eat more fish and a healthy diet.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, thank you very much. And your job here, I understand, is just to keep an eye on things, make sure nobody's burning themselves, and then that they're not burning the dishes either. So, John, do you want to find out what the girls from Balfron are cooking?
Absolutely. So, what do we have here, ladies?
We have a mussel and saffron soup.
Mussel and saffron soup. Excellent.
Mussel and saffron soup.
And where did the mussels come from for this?
They're from Tesco's, but it's just because our teachers, it's easier for them to get because it's quite difficult to get other fish, and it's also a bit cheaper. But they always make sure that they have the logo on it to make sure that they're fresh and proper fish. They do sometimes go to the fish fan, which is from our broth, to get the fish. So yeah.
So the beauty of farm fish then is it's readily available. And very fresh. Yes, that's right. Great. And how long does the dish take to do? It must be quite a quick dish, is it?
Yeah, it takes about 15 minutes. Yeah, to get everything.
And will we be seeing any wine in this now?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Great.
So I'm just preparing.
Okay, so you're just preparing, taking the meats out.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is you can use one mussel shell as a pair of tweezers
Yes.
to take them out. That's clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, boys, what are you cooking?
We're cooking poached salmon with beetroot and citrus fruit.
Well, that sounds very good. And I understand that beetroot is one of the superfoods, isn't it? I think so that will go well with salmon. One of the new ones, Alan. Right. And do you know where your salmon comes from?
Just the local fishmonger.
Just the local fishmonger. And that'll come from a local Scottish salmon farm. Is that right? Yes. Okay. And why have you paired it up with citrus fruits?
We thought it was unusual and very colourful.
I think it will look very colourful on the plate. Okay, well, good luck with that. Now, while you're watching them cooking, and I must say that the aroma up here is very nice. We can have a quick word with some of our judges. Now, judges, tell me, what are you looking for then? What are you examining?
Well, we're looking for the appeal of the recipes to start with.
Okay.
And both look quite nice to me.
You think they look quite good? You'd be happy to eat these recipes?
Yes.
Good, good, good. And what else are you looking for?
Bjorn, would you?
Yeah, well, I think the appearance is very important as well. One is the taste, but also how the dish is presented and how it looked would be important.
Yes, it is, isn't it? A lot of people eat by eye, don't they? It's, I think, perhaps smell
Absolutely.
and, yes, by eye if something looks good. Yes, so I know Alan's been working hard with them to make sure that it's not just cooked well, but it's presented on the plate well. And I think that's where I always fall down as well. Like you go to restaurants and things look absolutely beautiful, but then when you try to recreate that at home, it's never quite the same. And you wonder, how can they just get that perfect? What's the different touch? But I know they've been having a lot of tips from Alan, so hopefully we'll see some really nice dishes here. Now, unfortunately, we can't give them away to taste. Health and safety and hygiene regulations mean that only our judges can taste these, and they have checked that it's all being made in very hygienic conditions and has been stored properly. But all you'll be able to do is be teased by the smell. So. So how are your team getting on, John?
They're doing very well. I think they have the mussels definitely a go.
We've never been in.
And do you know how the mussels are cultivated?
Never been. And because of
No, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I don't, but I do know how oysters are cultivated.
Right. How are they cultivated?
So they get them when they're really small, like thumbnail size,
Yes.
and then they grow them in Loch Lomond until they're big, and they hit the oysters to see if they sound like pedals, then they're ready to eat. So.
Did you hear about the oyster that went to a dance and pulled a mussel? Hear that one? No.
As I said, a humorist. But John, I think there's something the audience needs to know about Balfron High, isn't there? How long have they been doing this?
For about a couple of weeks. Yeah.
I've been doing it for very long.
Yeah.
Just 4 weeks. Unfortunately, the school that had been working on the project since January had to pull out at the end of August when 2 of the pupils failed to come back after the summer holiday. So I was tearing my hair out after a phone call, and my poor coordinator was tearing her hair out and said, what can we do? We don't have a competition anymore. And so the coordinator, where are you, Sheila? You in the audience somewhere? Probably hiding somewhere. But she did a fantastic job persuading one of the schools that have been working with seafood in schools to step up to the mark, take the children on a few quick visits and to get cooking. So thank you very much. Now, Seafood in Schools is a project that's been running for, this is its 5th year, and it's well supported by Scottish Government, thank you Scottish Government, by numerous other organisations like the Scottish Salmon Producers Organisation, by the Scottish Whitefish Producers Association, the Scottish Fishermen's Fund. And the idea is to get children to understand where seafood comes from, because as we hear here, so many people don't understand. We buy the mussel from Tesco. Do the kids look further beyond that? Unfortunately, this school has had very little time to get further involved in that, whereas Glen Urquhart High have had a much better grounding. So again, it just shows that we need to teach people where their seafood comes from. And not just seafood, all food, which is something that you're very interested in, Kate, isn't it, I believe? Kate Devine?
Oh, sorry.
That's something you're very keen on, children learning about the origins of food.
I think children have got a lot to teach their parents as well. I think,
Yes.
you know, we do talk about the 2 lost generations of parents who lost the connection with food, and it's so important to get...
Closer to the microphone.
Oh, sorry, is this off?
That should work, Kate, if you could perhaps bring it a little closer or move closer to it.
Is that better?
That's better. Oh, that's better.
Sorry. I think it's so important for children to be encouraged to be connected with food, and especially fish and seafood, because we talk about the lost 2 generations of parents who, through maybe the 70s and 80s, have kind of lost, maybe the 90s, lost the connection with buying fresh and cooking at home, cooking from scratch. So in fact, I think it's really good if the new generation can then teach their parents.
No, that's very true. That's very true. So as well as learning where seafood comes from, how it gets to their plate, there's a whole cool supply chain that is involved in getting seafood to the plate. And the 3rd and final thing is why it's good for them to eat as part of a healthy diet. And as we all know, omega-3 is very important, but we are also trying to teach children the importance of that. We also want them to know more about sustainability. Now, I understand you go into schools as well, John, do you? But that in Ireland?
I do, but not in that capacity. I go into schools for ocean literacy purposes.
Right, and what does that involve?
And I go in under the guise of Black John, the bogus pirate. And Black John teaches children all about the sea through the medium of cartoons.
Right.
So I would draw, say, 4 different faces, a happy face, a sad face, a worried face, and an excited face,
Yeah.
and then get the children to do it. And you'd be amazed when the children realize they can actually draw a simple face and how they can extrapolate that into characters, how their eyes light up when they finally have that new skill. And on the top of that skill, we then go through the principles of ocean literacy, we go through stopping marine litter, conservation of certain species, and how each child can influence this at home. So it's a great day out, as they say. It gives me a chance to dress up as Johnny Depp and to draw cartoons and combine all the things I'm interested in, the sea, cartoons and writing. So yes, going to schools quite a lot now. It's great
So
fun.
is that your alter ego then that you
My
slip
alter ego, he
into?
even has his own Facebook page, if you want to look it up.
Oh, wow.
Black John the Bogus Pirate, he's there. So.
Wonderful. And I think, yes, that's perhaps we should look at what you're doing there and also bring in more of that into our programme. But right, it looks like they're getting on very well here. How are you doing, boys? Oh, you've done extremely well. That looks wonderful. Can you all see that on the screen? Yes, doesn't that look beautiful? And how long have you been practicing to do this? Or perhaps I shouldn't disturb you in the final moments.
I'm not really too sure, but it's been a couple of months.
A couple of months you've been practicing, yeah. No, that's. And so have you eaten a lot of seafood during that time?
Yeah, we have.
What's your favourite seafood?
Well, I like quite a lot, but rainbow trout it's not, but it's probably one of my favourite.
You prefer that to salmon?
Yeah.
Okay. And how are you a lot doing, John?
They're doing very well. They just have a few moments to cook the mussels right through. The funny thing in Ireland, back in history, there was so much salmon in the rivers and meat was so expensive that workers on the farms actually had clauses in their contract that they would not be served salmon more than 4 times a week, which seems incredible now, but that's the way it was a couple of 100 years ago in Ireland.
I think we had something here similar with oysters as well. People were fed up with eating oysters.
Or was it just the population was rising very fast because of their effects?
Who knows? Who knows? And I think you had some awkward questions for Bjorn, didn't you?
More questions for Bjorn, certainly, yes. Yeah.
Or some awkward questions.
Awkward questions? I don't think I have any awkward questions for Bjorn, but I've known Bjorn a long time through the EAS, and I know now that Bjorn is taking on the mantle of president of the European Aquaculture Society. So, Bjorn, how does it feel to finally be at the helm?
Well, finally, it's just repeating itself. So I think I look forward to this.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
Yeah, I think it will be, again, it's a challenge, but we have a very good team on the board and the secretariat, so I'm not very worried about the result.
Can I ask you, are you considering, or is EAS considering, or might be considering, an educational programs through schools for children in the future?
Okay.
Well, we don't consider educating kids, but we certainly are interested in educating people in fish farming and the knowledge of what fish farmers are doing.
Yes.
That is important.
Indeed, and you've been in the business now a very long time. How do you see it changing over the 20 or 30 or even more years you've been involved?
All right, sorry, can I just very briefly interrupt? We have our first dish here from Glen Urquhart boys, so if you'd like to taste that, judges, but you can finish your question first, Bjorn, if you could bear to be kept away from the salmon.
Go for it. Yeah, okay.
So, boys, that looks absolutely beautiful. I'd give you top marks for presentation. And we're going to keep this dish for photography, unfortunately, because I'd actually like to tuck into that, and I've already had breakfast. So tell me, how did you find this whole experience of cooking up here in front of a big audience?
Very different, I would say, to anything that we've ever done. So.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be quite nerve-wracking to start off with, but after a while it gets easier.
It's easier. We in the UK are very keen on programs like MasterChef and Bake Off, so everybody wants to be a cookery celebrity, cooking on stage and cooking for the TV cameras. So you've had your first taste of this, boys, so well done, well done. I'm glad it wasn't too nerve-wracking. And I believe that we're nearly ready here as well. It's looking very good.
It is indeed.
So judges, over to you briefly. What are you finding so far?
A really delightful combination of very clean, on-trend citrus flavours with the fish.
Oh, I like that, on trend, yes.
On trend. Yeah, I think citrus is...
Yeah, and also they have been very careful with the heat, so it's cooked just right, not too much, it's not dry at all. It's very juicy and excellent.
Okay.
Was that simply poached, was it?
Boys, was this simply poached? What was it poached in? Dill, fennel and lemon, yes, and yes, you have the recipes there, so we can see that. So well done. Right, well, very well done, girls. Did you enjoy that experience?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Brilliant. Okay, right. Well, if you want to leave the second dish there, and if you'd like to go off, we can move on now to our presentations so that we keep on time. And thank you very much, boys and girls. And thank you, Alan. You did a grand job. So now I would like to invite the boys from Glen Urquhart High School who are doing the presentation. So that's Fraser Nicol and Ewan McAteer. Hello, boys. Now, I understand that your presentation is just about to come up, and after that we'll ask you a couple of questions. And we'll leave the judges to carry on deliberating while they're giving their presentation. Thank you.
Hello, audience. My name's Ewan, and this is my colleague Fraser.
Hi.
We're from Glen Urquhart High School.
We've turned our presentation into a video for you, so roll the video.
Hello, my name is Fraser, and I'm working with Ewan. We're part of the Seafood in Scotland project. This is us. We started learning about aquaculture in school. It was interesting to find out how many aquacultural sites there were close to where we live in the Highlands. We had chefs visit our class and tell us about the different fish they cook with. We learned about sea trout, salmon, halibut, oysters and mussels. We tried all of them. Kat Franchitti came to tell us about the health benefits of eating seafood and what makes people buy Scottish seafood in particular. A healthy diet should include at least 2 portions of fish a week, including 1 oily fish. Populations that eat lots of fish have low levels of heart disease. Seafood protects the heart from disease and lowers the amount of cholesterol in the blood. Eating fish has been shown to ease the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Oily fish can help to protect the eyesight. Fish and shellfish also contain retinol, a form of vitamin A which boosts night vision. Seafood provides the body with many essential nutrients, including iodine, selenium, zinc and potassium. Eating a lot of fish can also keep your lungs stronger and healthier. Omega-3 can help protect the skin from the harmful effects of UV radiation. The human brain is almost 60% fat, with much of this fat being omega-3. Probably for this reason, research has indicated that people who eat plenty of seafood are less likely to suffer from dementia and memory problems later in life. Salmon is by far the most dominant subsector, with nearly 99% of production. Some salmon farms in Orkney, Shetland and North Uist have attained the organic certification and are obtaining premium prices because of this. We went to Kinlochleven to find out more on fish farming, specifically mussels.
Shetland farms currently produce 69% of total Scottish mussels. Scottishness appeals to high standard markets and quality product ranges which can secure a price premium.
Here, the owner of the mussel farm we visited is showing us the methods they use to grow quality Scottish mussels. He showed us how the mussels attach themselves to a rope as an egg and grow out and then make delicious starters and main courses. Of course, because this is Scotland, the rain didn't take long to set in. When we returned to land and embarked on the bus to Loch Leven Seafood Cafe, This project has expanded our knowledge about seafood and where it comes from, and how it's produced. Thanks for watching. We'll now take your questions.
Boys, that's great. Did you enjoy making the film?
Oh, absolutely.
You did, great. Okay. What did you learn most, what did you enjoy most learning about aquaculture?
Well, when it comes to enjoyment, we had the chefs come in and make delicious food for us, and that was absolutely fantastic. Also, going to the mussel farm to get the footage for the film was absolutely great because we got to see how they're reared and how they grow out from spat, tiny little spat. And the Loch Levin Seafood Cafe was really fun and tasty experience.
Sounds like you like eating seafood. Wow. Did you know anything about aquaculture before you started this project?
Well, we knew you could buy mussels in the shops, but we didn't quite understand how big an industry it was until we went to the farm and found out millions of pounds are made from mussels each year, and that's just mussels. Salmon makes billions for the Scottish economy.
That's right, it's very, very important. Were you surprised by anything you learned about aquaculture in Scotland?
Well, we were greatly surprised by how close the fish farms are to where we live. There's a great number of them up and down the Highlands and Islands. It employs people in remote and rural areas, which is great. We never used to see them we never used to see fish farms before the project, but now that we know about them, we see them everywhere.
That's correct. Once you understand that they're there, you'll take a greater interest, won't you? Would either of you consider a career in the industry?
I would probably veer away from the practical side and go more towards marketing and sales and value-added product.
Okay, you don't fancy standing around in oilskins getting wet? No. What about you?
Well, I think I'd quite like the work in the practical sector.
Oh, that sounds great. Maybe we'll see you up here in a few years' time presenting about your own fish farm then. Yes. What have you learned about sustainability of aquaculture?
Well, we learned that mussels and oysters eat natural plankton, which occur in the waterways where they're grown, which is sustainable in itself. And we also learned that salmon is produced sustainably, and for every kilo of feed that you feed to a fish, you get a kilo out of it, which is different to other foods and is therefore sustainable.
That's right, yeah. And did either of you eat farm seafood beforehand?
Oh, absolutely. It makes up most of my diet. I love seafood.
Did you try anything new?
Yes, I tried the rainbow trout and quite liked it. So.
Great, okay. Well, thank you very much, boys. That's great. Thank you very much. Big hand for the boys. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
So if you'd just like to stand to one side. And could I call on stage the two girls from Balfron, and that's Rachel Cairns and Emma Pretorius. And John's going to take over here. He's going to supervise their presentation, and then he's going to put them through their paces. But just before we do that, are you getting on all right, judges?
Yeah.
Yes. Fraser, you happy?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Right, ladies, take it away.
Thank you. Prior to our fish experience, we all varied in knowledge about Scottish agriculture. However, we now have a far wider sense of the industry. Our journey began at Loch Fyne Fishery.
So at Loch Fyne Fishery, we were welcomed with a first-hand experience of the fish industry in Scotland. An employee began with a presentation regarding the background history of the fish industry to their end products. So we were given the opportunity to smell the wood chippings in which they smoke their fish in, which smelt like whisky, so it really increased our knowledge of where part of the flavour comes from in their fish. This then led us on down to the oyster pond.
At the oyster pond, we were met by a worker who firstly told us on how the oysters are grown and how they're not actually grown immediately from Scotland. They're imported here when they're the size of a thumbnail. And then he introduced us to some employees who were knocking the oysters together, and if they made the sound of two pebbles knocking together, then they were used and packaged in boxes of 12, and if they weren't, then they weren't packaged up. It was really interesting to see how many employment opportunities are created in the business.
So after this, we went back to the restaurant where they presented us with a lovely selection of smoked salmon tasters as well as oysters. This gave us insight of the development the company have put their fish through to increase its originality and the various types of infusion they put their fish through. One of them being beetroot salmon, which surprises quite a lot because of the distinct taste, but I personally really enjoyed it, and I know Rachel did too, and a lot of our classmates did as well. And we were also given the opportunity to try raw oysters, which were of an acquired taste, you could say, and proved enjoyable to more than others. So from our tasting experience, our home economics class were inspired to experiment with some of our own fish recipe development.
Some of these recipes included a salmon stir-fry, salmon linguine, mussels in a tomato sauce and garlic bread, and the mussel soup that we made for you today. We actually have a video of our trip to Loch Fyne as well. In this video, I actually call a oyster shell a clam, so it just like highlights how much we now know and how little we probably knew before.
It's a clamshell. So, inside here lived a clam. How have you enjoyed the trip so far?
It's been really good, thanks.
What have you learned?
I've learned about salmon and all the different kinds of packaging, and you know how salmon's smoked.
Are you looking forward to tasting some salmon later on?
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm kind of peckish, so you know.
And the salmon was actually all grown by the Scottish Salmon Company, and they operate salmon farms all across the west coast of Scotland. So if you can picture in your mind a map of Scotland, basically the salmon farms are right from the Hebrides down into Loch Fyne, and there are actually 9 farms within Loch Fyne itself.
Today was good. We saw lots of different kinds of fish. What? We ate loads of salmon and oysters and clams. And, it was really good.
Before I didn't really like fish that much, I wasn't a big fan, but now I see like all the benefits of eating fish, and like I've tried more different types of fish, and I'm willing to try even more fish.
So this experience has shown us how successful and important Scottish aquaculture is in our country, with 40% of our Scottish foods being exported to different countries all around the world.
The scale of fishery sustainability in Scotland is proven so large, as shown in the rural area alone. Around 1,700 people have jobs in this industry, and through the food processing, around 3,000 with jobs, showing us just how much Scotland aims to ensure that their fish culture continues to strive upwards in years to come, and that the sustainability follows.
Here are some more statistics which really shocked us. For example, the sales have increased by 127% from 2015 to 2016 from our exports to Japan. The Scottish Government production have set many targets, but the thing that has really astounded us was the nutrition that we received from the fish.
We would just like to say our thank you to Hamish Watt also for our video. He's one of our fellow pupils. But thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our presentation as much as we've enjoyed this whole experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Well, congratulations, ladies, on an excellent presentation. Very, very informative and very clearly put across. Did you know anything about aquaculture before you started?
Well, we both knew quite a lot about agriculture, but definitely this experience has widened our knowledge of it completely, and we know a lot more than we did before.
Yep, definitely. Just all about the employability and the different types of fish as well that are on offer in the fish industry, and just how much work really goes into it.
No, that really came across. What did you enjoy learning about most in that research?
I would say probably just learning how they create dishes with the fish, and they're like really creative and inventive with it, like the beetroot salmon. We've never tried that before, and it was just really interesting to see how that works.
Yeah. And what do you think was the most important thing that you took away from that?
Probably just
the employability.
Yeah, the employability.
Because like it's creating so many jobs all over Scotland and in countries out with Scotland. So I would say that's really important, and hopefully that will increase throughout the years.
Yeah, that really came across in your presentation with 127% growth. Was there anything else that surprised you about in your research?
Probably just how much sustainability is really important, because obviously there's aspects like pollution that would harm the fish, so it wouldn't be fresh, and also just you need a stable environment to grow the fish in culture, so it's all really important in the whole process.
Yeah, so sustainability then is woven into the whole production cycle really, because if you pollute the water, of course, you destroy the industry, which you can't do.
Yeah.
So having learned all this, would you consider a career in the fish farming industry yourself? And if so, what element would you take up?
Well, I would say we both already have sort of ideas about like, what we'd like to do in the future. But if we were to go into the fish industry, I think I would probably like to work with cooking the fish, maybe a chef, maybe invent new recipes, and just keep inventing things.
I think if I was to go into it, I'd probably, because we had a bit of an insight of the packaging they do, so I'd probably be interested in the designing of the packaging. And Aisha, who was on stage, she wants to go into kind of home economics area, so that would obviously link in with part of the whole process.
Tell me, did you eat farm fish before you did the research?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, we both did.
We both have a member in our family who's actually allergic to fish,
Oh,
so we probably wouldn't have it as much as we would like to.
Yes.
But definitely now we're going to try and make an effort to have more of it.
Yeah, and I presume from your enthusiasm you'll go on eating it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, well thank you again for a
Thank
marvellous
you very
presentation.
much.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thank you.
Right, well, thank you, everybody. And I think we've now come to the exciting culmination of our morning's work. Judges, have you made a decision?
Yes, we have.
Yep. Fraser, was it hard?
Yeah, it was hard. There's obviously a lot of effort's gone into both in learning the recipe and the way that we're presented was quite wonderful. So, yeah.
And was it a close call? Did you all judge it in a fairly similar way?
We did.
Yes.
Actually.
Yeah.
You did. And so we're ready to make some presentations. Great. So could I call everybody back on stage then, please? So we've got Glen Urquhart boys, Fraser Nicol, and Ewan. Have we got lost? No. Right, the two presenters, Fraser and Ewan. And the two cooks, Jay and Flett. And then from Balfron High, we've got Rachel and Emma, the two speakers. And Katie and Aisha, the two cooks. Now, whichever way it goes here, and there can only ever be one winner, I think you've done a fantastic job this morning, and I think everybody will agree. I think a big round of applause for everybody. And thank you too to Alan, who's done a fantastic job helping to get this on the road and for keeping them organised whilst on stage. Thank you very much to our judges as well, to Fraser and Kate and Bjorn. And I hope I don't forget anybody. Thank you to EAS for inviting us, and to my two coordinators and the teachers of the two schools as well, and to my fellow judge John, who's done a fantastic job as well. Thank you very much. Great pleasure being with you. So now I will hand over to you, Bjorn, because I think you're going to announce the winner.
Yeah.
And they will receive this trophy.
Yeah.
Would you like to call the winners forward and present that for me?
Should I just give a little bit information about
Yes, you can, please. Yes, please do.
Yeah. Well, as you know, it has not been a very fair competition because it's two different dishes. It's not the same they have prepared, and that made it a little bit more complicated to see who is the winner here. I think what impressed me most is the calmness these young kids or people show on the scene there preparing the food, they didn't look nervous at all to me, cooking in front of 300 people. I would have been a little more nervous if I had been there, I have to say that. We know how easy things go wrong when you are preparing food, especially if you have to do it in a hurry with 300 people looking at you. So I'm very impressed with the performance of the pupils here. And then we have looked on the 2 dishes. You may have seen them if you have opened your information package. The 2 recipes are in there. One has been the mussel and saffron, and the poached salmon with beetroot, citrus, avocado, and caraway seeds. And as I say, the appeal of the recipe is what we think very good. They're apparently fairly easy to make. And then we look on the cooking competence of the teams there, and we think they have done a very good job. I think they are very competent. They get a full score on that. That means 5 points. And then we have the appearance and presentation of the dishes. You, unfortunately, haven't been able to look at them. We have. And, of course, nothing is perfect. It's very difficult to say, yeah, this can't be better. So we have judged the salmon here to 4, at least I have, and we all have that. And then we have put 2 or 3 on the saffron, on the soup, on the mussel soup. And one of the reasons we put them down a little bit is we thought there should possibly have been a little more saffron in, a little more taste of saffron, and that also would have given the dish a little more color. That's what we believe could have been the case. And the salmon has been excellent poached. We all know how important it is not to overcook fish, and this is done perfect. It's a little bit red in the center of the piece of meat here, and so that was very well done. And the appearance, you haven't, as I said, looked on the dish, but the salmon was very nicely presented, and we are given nearly a full score for that. And then the aroma, again, the salmon tasted fine, excellent. A little more saffron would have helped a bit the soup. So, and the taste of both were very nice, but again, a little bit more saffron in the soup would have maybe done it a little bit more tastier. So we ended up with the winner, we think, is the salmon dish, the Glen Urquhart, but they both have done an excellent job, and we are very impressed with the cooking of these 2 teams have
Thank
done.
you very much, then, and very many congratulations to Glen Urquhart. Boys, would you like to present that? And Kate, we have a cookbook for each of the team at Glen Urquhart. Would you like to give those to the Glen Urquhart boys? So how does it feel to be winners? Are you very happy? Great. And then Bjorn, we have a cup for the Balfron High. And Fraser has some cookbooks for them. It's the Happy, Healthy Student, Hungry Student Cookbook, so it'll help them. And John, I believe you're going to hand out some EAS aprons to everybody. And we have Alistair to thank for these. No. Right. Okay, so thank you very much to everybody. Thank you to you for being a great audience as well and helping this to go along. So here, everybody, here's your EAS. You'll remember this day for a long time, I'm sure. And you'll have something to tell your friends back at school. But congratulations to both of you. Very, very well done. Thank you.